that is why running for public office is such a big deal to me. And I am so proud to be able to say that I'm running for city council because someone like me, back then probably never thought that this was possible.
Mhm.
And I can speak to people that come from backgrounds like I did and that are immigrants that have those hardships and, let them know that, hey, it's possible. Si se puede.
Welcome to the Same Business, Different Day podcast, a platform dedicated to exploring the journeys, challenges, and triumphs of individuals who embody the essence of inspiration and success. As usual, we'll talk to business owners that you've always wanted to get to know, but never had the chance. We discuss early life, growth, loss, decisions, and how all of those helped propel them to who and where they are today. Today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with someone I admire for so many reasons. One, we have some things in common, getting into the family business, community involvement, love for travel, tequila. And two, she's accomplished and overcome so much to become the lovely soul that we know today. Denisse Barragan, welcome finally to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. Denisse, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Zeke.
I'm happy to have you.
I'm happy to be
here. Yes, it's overdue, but still timely, so that's a good thing. Like I said, we really talk about the journeys, and we talk about the journeys for a reason because we're really trying to inspire the youth, and I know you're all about that, right? Inspiring folks to accomplish their dreams and to do the things that they want to do. And there's so many people out there. And I know it from experience that want to go into business, want to, take the leap, but really don't know what to do, how to do it or whatever. But a lot of what can help them out is understanding the journeys of others who have done so, and that can involve all the ups and downs. It can involve education, no education. There's a lot of decisions involved in that, right? So we want to hear your journey and the decisions that you made based on the journey that you had. And so the first question is actually a really good one for you because I kind of know the story a little bit. Where were you born?
I was born in Oaxaca, Mexico, and I moved here in 1993. My parents actually moved to the U.S. in 1989.
Mhm.
I was a 1-year-old, and I got to stay behind with my great grandmother, who she has since passed, but I love and really admire her. She was an entrepreneur and a very successful woman. But I lived with her till I was 4 years old.
Wow. So from 1 to 4, your family just came over, and what were they doing?
Yeah, so my mom and dad came from Oaxaca, not knowing anybody. How they landed in Vista, California, of all places,
Yeah.
is a very interesting story. So the story is that my parents my mom and dad are high school sweethearts. They moved to the U.S. Shortly after I was born, 1 year after I was born, and were looking for better opportunities. So they came to the United States, and they heard about a place called Oceanside, California, that was hiring a lot of migrant workers,
Okay.
and so they came to work, and 4 years later, they were finally in a position to financially and so forth to be able to go back and get me. And by that time, I had a baby brother. So
And he was born here.
yes, he was
Okay.
born in Oceanside. Yes.
Uh-huh. So you're the oldest.
I am the oldest.
Okay.
Yes, I am the oldest. And when I moved to the U.S., I was close to being 5 years old. I was 4, about to be 5.
Sure.
And we lived at what are now the Waterleaf Apartments on the bottom of Emerald. They're probably one of the biggest apartment complexes that we have here in the city of Vista.
Okay.
So that is where we lived when I first moved to the United States. And so after that, we lived here, and sorry, I'm kind of Should I stop there?
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
stopped there. I was going to keep going, and I was like,
No,
okay.
that's cool.
Okay.
I'm really interested in what Oceanside and Vista look like in like 89 to 93, right? I mean, because there's worse places. There's got to be worse places to be. You're
Yeah.
still just a couple miles from the ocean. Oceanside's on the ocean,
Yeah.
right? I understand still, not necessarily living in the best conditions if you don't have any money, but you're working your way up to,
Yeah.
to get strong financially. And we know that, they eventually figured out, and so did you. Of course, that story we're going to tell. But okay, so you're in Mexico for here you are, Oaxaca, 3-4 years. How are you communicating with your parents?
So this was, pre-internet times. So we would write each other letters. They would send me photos of my baby brother.
Yeah.
We would talk on the phone. Talking on the phone back then internationally was very expensive. So
Yeah.
it's, that's just how the world was back
Sure.
then. So we still kept in touch, and I longed to be with my parents. And I was, like I said, I was sad that I had to leave my great grandmother, but I was happy to be reunited with my family.
Yeah.
And the reason that they decided to do that was, partly also because one, they needed to work. Two, they needed to figure out some stuff with immigration. And, that's a big part of a lot of the Mexican immigrants' journey coming to this country is
Right.
dealing with all the immigration stuff. And that's a whole, world to uncover that a lot of people don't have the insights to, but I lived it firsthand. So, yeah.
You got to educate yourself on that kind of thing. Like that's got to be a lot, right? And then working full time at the same time.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So, do you remember, moving a couple years ahead, having, or even maybe even then, aspirations, what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I do not. The first few years of me coming to the US were a bit challenging just because I did not know how to speak English at all. Spanish is my first language. And, um, you know, coming to the United States was definitely a culture shock for me. I was so used to life at home with my great grandmother, and I had to adapt. However, I do remember my mother very early on had a conversation with me, and she had asked me or encouraged me to really integrate into my new life in this new country.
Okay.
One of the things that I am most appreciative of growing up is that my mom, even though I didn't know how to speak a word of English, still placed me at after school activities at John Landis. I did dancing. I was a Girl Scout by the time I was in second grade.
Okay.
I was struggling and I didn't understand half the time, but I was there. And so my mom very early on taught me the power of getting involved with the community and showing up.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about the community, but this is very interesting to me too. The immersion and the level of immersion. I've had various guests where they've been fully immersed, where it's like there's not even ESL classes. We just throw you in a class where all they speak is English, and you just got to figure it out. And you grow, you learn, you will pick it up. But that seems so difficult. I don't want to say abusive, but it seems very, very difficult. It's an uphill battle for some time. So what was that like? You did go into ESL, correct?
Yes, I was an ESL student for many years early on. But despite of being an ESL student, I also did, shout out to North County Bobby Sox. We used to play at Bub Williamson Park, which is now the softball fields are gone. But back when I was growing up, it was the softball fields right behind Grapevine Elementary, which is where I went to elementary school, and I still live in that same neighborhood. So yeah, it was definitely challenging.
Right.
But I think what made it easier is having community and being part of the community and being encouraged to be part of the community. And so to this day, I am still friends with the families that were, my Girl Scout leaders and the people that I played softball with.
That's
I
awesome.
did my siblings as well. They did karate and whatever my parents could sign us up for, they were there and willing to whether it was buying us cleats or books or whatever it was, they really encouraged us to get involved.
Now, were they involved in the community as well, or were they just kind of dropping you off and working, or did
Yeah.
they actually like become part of
Yeah.
the Girl Scouts and or
Yeah.
any of the organizations?
Yeah, so unfortunately, my parents were very busy working. I do recall that my dad, I admire him so much and his work ethic, but at one point, my dad had 3 jobs to be able to afford to
Yeah.
buy his first home. Um, so he was a quality assurance manager, had a newspaper route, and he's relentless. Delivered pizzas to be able to save enough money for that first down payment.
Wow. That's awesome. And you clearly see, look, the smile. You admire him for that, for
I
sure.
admire him so much. And I work with him to this day. So I see that work ethic even
Yeah,
now.
it's real.
Yeah.
Because once you have, it's not one of those things that you can just pretend until you get your house. It's like there's real consistency
Yeah.
in it. If you got legitimate work ethic, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It never stops. And
Yeah.
so I know you've inherited because I know how busy you are at all times. This is great. So I'm really enjoying. I just wanted to get an idea though with the community involvement, like where that comes from with you, because not only are you so busy in your current job, but you are also very entrenched in the community. And so it sounds like, although your parents were very busy working, that they will put you in the community and in various sports or whatever it is, and then you created these groups. And it's just like, okay, as these people continue to grow, I want to stay involved and they can reach out to me. So like tell us more about the the involvement in the community, even at an early age, after, you might have your first job or whatever, but you're still involved.
Yeah. What's interesting is I was always encouraged to get involved no matter what it was.
Okay.
And I can
Even if you didn't know anything about it.
But I can definitely say I've done like the things I've been involved with are so diverse.
Okay.
I was an avid student. I did Latina Leadership Network at Miracosta College. I did marching band at Rancho Buena Vista High School. The diversity in all of the things I've been involved with, I think really speaks to who I am, which is someone who gets along with everybody. I am a people's person and I love people. I love learning about people, their backgrounds. We're so lucky that Vista is so diverse and we have people from many different backgrounds that like many different things. But yeah, nothing ever stopped me from getting involved in things that, I guess I never really wanted to fit into a box.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that. But that's still got to be difficult, right? I mean, I shouldn't say difficult, not difficult for you, but let's say there are other folks out there that are like true introverts. And what kind of advice would you give them to get involved in the community and help, others that even don't look like you?
Okay, so I would advise to just get involved and just show up. You would be surprised. I got to learn more about myself and the things that I liked and didn't like, but I also got to meet a lot of great people along the way. I've also been involved with ministry at North Coast Church. I've just been involved with the Miss Teen Vista pageants. I you name it, I was probably there at some point in my upbringing here in this community. But there is so much power in showing up and showing up even if you don't know somebody or you don't know if you're going to like that thing, but you learn so much and you get to know so many great people that it is worth it. And it is worth getting out of your comfort zone to do that.
I love it. Okay, how about, because we're going to continue on this journey, early jobs. You remember your first job and any of your early jobs?
I do. My very first job was Chick's Sporting Goods. So Chick's Sporting Goods.
Never heard of Chick's.
Yeah, Chick's Sporting Goods is where Hobby Lobby is now. It used to be Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was Chick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
And I worked in the software retail area. Back then, the Roxy Surfwear was it. And I was selling it.
That's awesome. How did you like the job?
I loved it. I don't know if you know this about me, but I do not have a long list of jobs on my resume because I started my company with my dad 17 years ago when I graduated high school. So the only other
Mm.
jobs that I had outside of that have been Chick's Sporting Goods and Albertsons, where I was a cashier.
Okay. Okay. What did you learn from both of those jobs?
From Chick's Sporting Goods, again, I learned a lot about just getting along with people
Mhm.
because you had a lot of different customers coming in to shop there. You had, the surfing crowd, you had the athletes, the parents coming in to buy cleats and baseball bats. So
Mhm.
it really taught me to some interpersonal skills that I think I developed very early on,
Mhm.
definitely.
I love it.
And with Albertsons, that job taught me a lot of discipline because there was a lot of the management at the time was very, and it was, I remember it was my first, I was in the union and because I was a cashier and I didn't know what any of this meant I think I was 17 when I started that job. So
Mhm.
it taught me a lot about, showing up to work on time and I got written up and that really,
Mm.
shook me up and
Yeah.
really, set me straight. So
Yeah.
I'm very appreciative of both experiences, especially Albertsons because it did teach me, those little things that matter, especially for a corporate type of environment where you are expected to show up on time and there's certain things and procedures and policies that have to be upheld. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I love this. You know, you gave me a compliment earlier about my speaking, and I want to say you're a very, very good communicator. I really appreciate listening to you. You know, you get to the point, you make a great point, and give perspective with it, and you keep it captivating. So I appreciate you as a speaker. Um,
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and so with that too, um, let's talk pageant. Let's talk being the very first Strawberry Festival queen. Like, what does that mean? What is that all? How did that even come about?
Well, first of all, it's awesome to be known as the first ever Vista Strawberry Queen.
Yeah, you got that on your resume forever.
Yeah. So my sister was Miss Teen Vista in 2010.
Okay.
And I decided to join the pageant world with her. I wanted to support my little sister, who is a little bit more of an introvert,
Okay.
more, not as outgoing as I am, perhaps, but I wanted to show support and I signed up to do this pageant with her. I am so thankful for what the Miss Teen Vista and Miss Vista organization does here in our community. It really teaches young ladies how to be well mannered, show up, do a proper handshake, look people in the eyes, um, have confidence when you're up on stage. You part of the pageant. So the pageant pretty much goes through. You do an interview where you have business attire. You have to be able to shake that person's hand, look them in the eye, and answer the questions that they ask.
Hmm.
The other portion is the gown. You have to go on stage and wear a gown, and you have to be, poised and
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah.
We even wore Vaseline on our teeth to keep our smiles from all night long. So,
Oh,
uh,
wait a minute. Wait.
yeah.
You got to educate me on this. I don't even know what that means. So, is that like if you're smiling too long, your teeth get dry?
Yeah,
Or is
and
it to
just
make your teeth shinier?
no, just to remind you to like keep smiling.
So
Yeah.
just don't close your
Yeah, just
mouth
don't
or you're
close
going
your
to eat
mouth. Yeah,
Vaseline.
your cheeks
Oh, wow.
hurt. I think one of the only times where my smile was just going on for way too long that my face was hurting was the Christmas parades.
Okay.
Because you can't help but just keep smiling
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So it's kind of similar to that.
Wow. So
So
you just walk around with a frown for like the next week so you can just heal up?
right. Yeah, but that I think was just there's such a big life lesson in
Sure.
doing all of those things. And
Mhm.
part of being up on stage, you do get random questions asked on stage, and there's a panel of judges. So it is, I guess, quite like anything we would expect from like a Miss America or
Yeah.
Miss Universe. It's kind of the same format, but here on a local level. But like I said, it just taught me a lot about having confidence and the importance of being able to walk into a room and have a presence.
Yeah.
So I've learned so many lessons
Yeah.
from doing that, and I'm very thankful for that organization. And again, these are lessons that I carry with me
Absolutely.
even now.
That's awesome. That's an education not everybody can get. You're
Yeah.
getting it. I mean, you can get it in different ways, I guess, but it's I don't want to say a cheat code, but it's absolutely like putting you out there, out in front
Yeah.
early on,
Yeah.
and now it's all about your
Yeah.
presentation. But you got to be educated.
Yeah.
You have to be on your toes too. You don't know what they're going to ask you. You got to be able to be eloquent.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it doesn't end there. Once you win, you're expected to show up at the ribbon cuttings,
Hmm.
the chamber mixers, and a variety of different events throughout the community, as well as the parades and strawberry festival and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it is a responsibility that carries, after the pageant ends.
That's wild. Okay.
And I
Okay.
know
Well,
you know a
thank you.
lot of the young ladies that show
Yeah,
up, and
absolutely.
yeah.
And we can't look as good without them, right? Because they're there, they're helping sell the raffle tickets, they're always smiling, they're always, like Rachel points out, they're always wearing heels. These are
Yeah.
young ladies that are just walking around helping us out and making us look good. And they're, like I said, I just love their energy. And probably everyone that's come up to me that that brings that energy to me and asks me for any advice, I'm like public service, like
Yeah.
educate people, but like they are absolutely useful out
Yeah.
in the world. Don't go hide
Yeah.
behind a desk somewhere.
Yeah.
Get out there
Yeah.
because you already have the training
Yeah.
for it. So that's awesome. That explains a lot about you now. I
And you know
love
what?
this.
This actually takes me back to a question that you asked me earlier
Hmm.
about, what advice I would give to
Hmm.
somebody that was a little bit more of an introvert. And I can definitely say that when my sister and I decided to start doing pageant, it wasn't necessarily something that we were super excited to do,
Hmm.
but it goes back to just the power of showing up and doing things, signing up for that hard thing,
Yeah.
or doing things that we are not going to necessarily like. Yes,
Yeah.
it's going to be way more fun to sit at home and binge on Netflix, but you got to do the hard things
That's right.
and show up.
That's
Yeah.
right. I love it. I love it. For me, it was well, other than being a disc jockey, when I was on the radio, that was fun, but I was still hiding behind a microphone, right? But um, being out in front was food service. Like that was what
Okay.
some of my
Yeah.
early jobs was, serving tables, and that was where I learned how to maneuver and deal with different personalities and
Yeah.
when they're grumpy and all of that kind of stuff because they're hungry,
Yeah.
or um, smiling again after one didn't tip well and moving on to the next and all of that stuff. But I think everybody should do it.
Yeah.
But now you got me thinking everybody should be in some sort of pageantry, but I know that's not possible. Okay, so thank you for all this information. Okay, so now it's time for the reveal. For those of you guys that don't know, in 2007, Denisse Barragan became the co-founder and owner of J&R Auto Body alongside her father, Ruben. This family business is not just thriving and growing in their customer base, but positively impacting environment and community. Speaking of community, Denisse sits on the board of directors of the Vista Education Foundation, the Vista Chamber of Commerce, previously sat on the board for the California Auto Body Association of San Diego, and volunteers for many other local organizations. Reintroducing the Vista Chamber's 2023 Businessperson of the Year, Denisse Barragan.
That's me.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm, like I said, finally, because it makes sense. It makes sense to have you here because you have so much information to impart on us. You've been through plenty, and you do so much, in the community and just in your business as well. And so I know you're always so busy. So thank you for spending some time with us. So I want to start off with J&R Auto Body. Tell us a little bit about the business. Tell us about joining a family business or being a part of a family business. And like you said, at what age? When you graduated high school, how old were you when you
Yes,
graduated?
I was 18.
At 18,
Yes.
you start a business with your father. So tell us about being a part of family business. Tell us about what the business is.
Okay, so my entire life, I have helped my family out. And, again, being an immigrant, coming to this country, my parents don't speak English. So I have to constantly translate and do
Mhm.
paperwork. And
Yeah,
so just came naturally for me to want to help my father
sure.
with the business.
Yeah.
Um, the industry has changed a lot, but I have really helped him, because again, he's my father, and sometimes he can. I think it's not just my dad, but there's this older generation that um, see things a certain way, and then you have the younger generation that I tend to be a little bit more progressive and forward thinking when it comes to business.
Mhm.
And so I think it was a great decision for us to partner together. I can definitely say it wasn't easy at first,
Yeah,
but
those early years are
yeah,
tough.
those early years were very tough. A lot of life lessons, a lot of hard lessons. In 2007, this was right before the economic crisis and the
Mhm.
recession. So we really had to buckle down and strategize, learn. There was a lot of learning, even though I didn't. And I think this was one of the questions that you've asked on your show before is what, or maybe you asked me earlier, what I wanted to be when I grew up. I
Mhm.
didn't really have an idea.
Okay.
I wanted to be everything under the sun at a certain point, but
Mhm.
I didn't really have a direction.
Mhm.
Um, when I was around that time, I was doing this with my dad, but I was also going to Palomar College,
Mhm.
and later I transferred to Maricosta. But when I was at Palomar, I got the opportunity to study abroad in Argentina,
Okay.
and I really wanted to be a Spanish teacher. So that was my goal at the time.
Okay.
But then when I went to Argentina, I realized I do not want to be a Spanish
Mhm.
teacher. So I came back, and it was back to the drawing board. And I think that was actually one of the best things that my parents were able to give me is just the ability to try new things,
Yeah.
figure out what I like and don't like.
Mhm.
And although they did encourage me to, continue my education, they were understanding that I really needed to find my who I am and
Yeah.
what I'm good, because I could have said I want to be a cop or a doctor, but that might not necessarily be where my personality and my skills and my giftings would really land me. So
Yeah.
I needed to. So there was many years of self discovery, trying new things, studying different things. I went to Bible college.
Mhm.
So owning a business also gave me the opportunity to do all of these things as I'm owning a business.
Yeah.
So in all of my journey, I feel like life really was my school. Like it
That's
taught
right.
me how to problem solve, how to, um, you know, deal with people, difficult people,
Mhm.
and no matter what type of business you own or run, there's always something to be solved. There's always a difficult person somewhere in there. So a lot of those lessons I learned just by doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll talk more about the business, but I'm very interested. Now I'm going to ask you for some advice again because we haven't discussed this one yet. I don't think on this show. We're in season 7, right, Mateo? Listen, how do you deal? What's your technique for dealing with difficult people?
Okay. Definitely being a good listener. I think
Mm-hmm.
the first step is listen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times throughout the years, it's not about, I realized, I can't lead with my emotions. I
Mm-hmm.
really have to listen
Yeah.
and be logical in my approach to
Mm-hmm.
how I deal with things. And so listening is definitely, I think, a good place to start because
Okay.
no matter where we're at or in a relationship or whatever, that anytime that we're dealing with someone and it's a difficult situation, I think listening to one another is definitely one thing that I would say do that first.
Yeah. But we're still talking about it difficult, right? And
Yeah.
so at some point you still got to get to uh, Respond and resolve.
Yes.
Right?
But I think you can't respond and resolve without first listening and
Sure.
really hearing that
100%.
person out,
Mhm.
because I've realized most people are logical, and if maybe there's just a misunderstanding or a miscommunication,
Yeah.
really hearing that person out and then being a part of it and then responding with good communication.
Yeah.
So I think, not, I feel or I think, but,
Yeah.
this is a better, more of a matter of fact type of, so I've kind of gotten that reputation in my workplace that I do approach things very, I tend to be non-emotional even when I speak to my employees or I'm trying to help them improve certain things. I want to be very matter of fact.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I think that is a good way to um, problem solve, because I feel like sometimes either the other person's emotions or our own emotions can get in the way of really.
Yeah. Then it's just conflict.
Yes.
Right. And that's certainly the biggest issue is that people who are upset or difficult, as we say, just want to be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
So you gotta listen.
Yeah, you're right. Most people just want to be heard.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so back to the business. Tell me about what J&R Auto Body does and how we're doing.
Okay, so J&R Auto Body is a full service collision center. We work with all insurance companies nationwide, and we are certified by over 10 automakers. And where we're positioned today, we because of the pandemic, we had a lot of when we had that dip in our business, we decided to do all of the things that we said we never had time for.
Oh, okay.
And part of that was education, and education for our technicians to be able to repair vehicles of today and tomorrow. So really looking into the future and positioning ourselves as the collision repair center for electric vehicles, vehicles that have sensors and modules and computers that maybe, an auto repair that was still maybe stuck in the ways of yesterday didn't adapt to. So being throughout the pandemic, I really made sure that we adapted to the changes that were coming. And so I'm proud to say that we are the collision center here in the city of Vista with the most certifications. And we are partnering with more automakers in the future. Right now, we're in talks with Ford and Tesla. So those things are going to be coming in the future. But I think that is very important to us, because vehicle safety, it's not just making your car look nice and pretty. We want to make sure that we're really taking care of our families by providing safe and proper repairs. My dad has a saying that, my dad doesn't have any grandchildren yet, but he always says, if I had a grandchild, I would want to make sure that I can put him in that vehicle and know that it got repaired,
Yeah.
Safely.
Yeah.
And so safety is like our biggest thing, and the part of our shop culture is making sure that the airbags, if we replace them, they're going to deploy the next time. That bumper is going to have the security features to protect you from the next rear end hit.
That's right.
So right now that's where we're at. We're really excited. We just moved to a new building. Well, not a new building, the building next door. So
Larger.
a larger building. We have a larger facility. We've partnered with Farmers Insurance, and we're have some other opportunities to partner with some more insurance companies in the near future. And I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to expand, because we really got to expand our capacity, and we can do more. We can hire more people. We can do more for our community and continue to bring high quality repairs.
I love it. Congratulations. What's really awesome is what you pointed out is how you use your time during COVID, during a difficult time, right? Because, some folks were, wallowing in their sorrows, which understandably so.
Yeah.
It was a time that was unprecedented in many of our lives, but you figured out, let's do the things that we weren't able to do because we didn't have the time. Now we have some time. We have some downtime, and you came out of it, shining and being even stronger.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, on that same note, though, you also had other difficult times while in business, right? And you suffered a loss and came out of it. Now, we're talking about, positivity of being in business. But tell us a little bit about those times and what those times were like.
Growing up the way I did, nobody taught me how to structure a business into an S corp, or what the difference is between a C corp and S corp.
Sure.
What's the difference between an EA, a CPA, and all the things, right, that go into more complex business decisions. And so that I would definitely say 17 years of doing this, I can definitely say that's definitely been the biggest challenge, especially as a Latino-owned business. Nobody teaches you how to do that. And so it was up to me to, knock on doors, call people, figure it out. Even through the pandemic, that doing all the PPP paperwork, the employee retention credits. There were so many things that are constantly being thrown at business owners. And if you don't prepare yourself, if you don't learn how to read your balance sheet, how to do the complex things, I feel like that's where a lot of the smaller mom and pop shops kind of see this. They get to this point where it's harder to grow and succeed in that business, or you've reached that capacity because that's all you know. And so, yeah, that's definitely, I would say, that one of the most challenging things that I've had to overcome.
I love it. So now, you guys, J&R Auto Body has also been involved in the community, as have you.
Yeah.
In pointing out the lack of education in some, with some things, especially being a Latino-owned business, how do you feel the chamber or other organizations are helpful in educating business owners?
I just want to say I absolutely love the Vista Chamber of Commerce. I am one of the biggest fans. I've been part of this chamber for many years, and I am on my 6th year on the board of directors.
Awesome.
And it goes back to what I guess the message of that I keep saying is, there's so much power in community showing up and getting involved. If I wouldn't have gotten involved with the Chamber of Commerce when I did, I don't think my business would be where it's at today.
Right.
They have been such a wealth of resources and information that they're able to provide to business owners, a lot of connections that I have been able to make with other business owners. And that's the thing about Vista and business owners is we want to help each other out.
Right.
People want to help.
Yeah.
And so that I'm forever thankful for the chamber. A lot of and it's just so interesting. Like, you actually got me now you got me thinking and then taking it all the way back.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget when Brett asked me to sit on the board of directors because I was shy. I hadn't found my voice yet. I felt like such an imposter, but he saw something in me, and he really encouraged me to step up. And that's happened different times in different ways throughout my life. But man, I love people, and there's so much power in what we can accomplish when we help each other out. So
that's right.
I'm so thankful for the chamber.
I love it. And you are here now. You own a house in Vista, right? Isn't that cool? I mean, you own a house in the neighborhood you grew up in, right?
I did, right next door to mom and dad, actually. Yes.
Awesome.
I grew up on that same street. Grew up in the house next door to my parents, and it was honestly, it was like almost a miracle that house became available, and that the owner considered me as for that as a buyer. So and especially in this market, I'm very, very thankful. And one thing I didn't share is, as a Mexican immigrant living through the process of what that process looks like. When I moved here, then we went through a lot of paperwork, a lot of things that had to happen, and then you get your residency.
Hmm.
Then, but before we got our residency awarded to us, the option of buying a house isn't even there. And then when you get your residency, things like voting aren't even an option
Hmm.
for you.
Hmm.
So these things that like owning a home and voting or even running for public office as a little girl seemed things that or seemed so far away. And so it was probably one of the biggest my biggest accomplishments was able to get to where I'm at and buy the home that I purchased. And it's
Congratulations.
yeah,
Look at
thank
you.
you.
Now we're on to bigger accomplishments because you're talking about owning a home in where you grew up in, District 3. Your biggest accomplishment being owning a home, but now we're on to other bigger accomplishments. You're running for city council in that district.
I am, yes. And it, like I said, it sometimes I have to like really pinch myself. Like, is this really happening? But especially, thinking about that little girl that didn't even think voting at one point
Right.
it seems so far away because I actually was not able to vote until about my early 20s. So I turned 18 and I still couldn't vote because I wasn't a citizen yet. I was a resident, but you cannot vote until you become a citizen. So I had to wait a few more years. And that is why running for public office is such a big deal to me. And I am so proud to be able to say that I'm running for city council because someone like me, back then probably never thought that this was possible. And I can speak to people that come from backgrounds like I did and that are immigrants that have had those hardships and, let them know that, hey, it's possible. Si se puede.
That's it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so but now what about like putting yourself through the scrutiny? Like, why do this? Like, you've got now you're public. Now you
Yeah.
as if you weren't public enough before. Now it's real, right?
Yeah.
No trepidation with that. Like you feel good about just going out there and
I
doing this.
feel really good about the decision I made to run. And I am just, again, so thankful to this community, so thankful to my mentors and leaders in this community that encouraged me to run. I'm it just when I first, the idea first even um, what was given to me, I was like, "Really? Are you serious?" And it takes me back to moments in life, kind of like when Brett asked me to sit on the board,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so I've had so many different moments like that in my life where at a certain point I had to make the decision to just go for it,
Yeah.
and that I wasn't going to let um, what I saw as, whether it was a weakness, a lack in confidence, or not feeling like I was ready or smart enough, or whatever it was,
Yeah.
right? Um, to just push past that and do it because it's for this community that has given me everything, really. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for the Vista community. Just the fact that I even bought my first home next door to right where I grew up. It's just, so significant and so important to me. And it opened up the door for me to run for this city council seat. So I'm just so thankful. And I can honestly say I'm really proud of myself
I'm
for
proud of you
putting
too.
myself out there because it's not easy. Um, but that's part of being a leader is you do things that when maybe other people aren't willing to. And it is unfortunate that when it comes to um, running for elected positions, there's not a lot of people. You won't find too many people that are excited to raise their hand or throw their name in there, right? So um, it does take a lot of courage. It's a lot of work,
Sure.
but you also have to have a lot of love for people in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And what's also awesome about it is that people are seeing something in you, even if you aren't seeing it in yourself, which is, great because now they're giving back, right?
Yeah.
And you're giving back to the
Yeah.
people, that are looking up to you.
Yeah.
And so it's gotta be a
Yeah.
continuous
Yeah.
cycle, right? That way,
Yeah.
and you're helping others too. So
Thank you. And I think I maybe ate too much humble pie growing up or something because I really struggled with that.
sure,
Because not wanting to be in the spotlight, not wanting to um, speak up, but man, it's been a lot of different people throughout the years. Not just Brett, but I remember Deanna. Uh, she's from New Haven. She was
okay,
at New Haven at the time.
hmm
She looked at me one day and I met her through the chamber and she said, "Honey, you're going to find your voice." And just people that and Kathy, who used to work at the chamber,
hmm
she said, "You could be mayor one day." Just
yeah,
little moments like that may not seem so significant, but those voices that stick with you when you're really struggling or you feel like you can't do something. And
yeah.
again, I'm just so thankful for this community. And just,
Beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful. Okay, now help me out though. Right, I'm not originally from here. Full disclosure, obviously. Um, what
Well,
have I
I'm
been
not
here?
either.
You've been here longer than me. I've been here about 5 years. I moved down to Carlsbad in '99 from the Bay Area, but I'm from the Bay Area, and so Silicon Valley, big city
Yeah.
attitude, lots and lots of progress. Now we're talking about Vista, and we talk about
Yeah.
Vista's community, and I have conversations many times where people are like, buildings over 3 stories, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
bring back the
Mhm.
bricks and the cobblestones and all of this stuff. So, um, how do we deal with the conversation of preservation? Because there's plenty of
Yeah.
that in Vista and in Vista community and the conversations that I'm having. Versus, I shouldn't say versus. How do we balance preservation and progress in Vista?
That's a really, really good question. And one that I think about often because as you said, right now the city is facing a lot of changes. We have a lot of projects coming up.
Yeah.
Some people tend to be excited about it. Some people don't.
Mhm.
Um, and as I look at all of this, like I said, I'm still learning a lot
Sure.
about housing and affordability and what does that
Mhm.
mean, and
Mhm.
the mandates that are coming down to build. Or I'm still learning about all what all of this means. But one thing I can definitely say is I'm looking at it with the way that I problem solve at work every day.
Mhm.
Is just a rational, logical perspective. Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? Is it more people coming to live here? Or are we building really affordable housing?
Mhm.
Do people want to live in tiny apartment complexes? Because a lot of people here in the community, and one of the reasons that when I was trying to purchase a home, I moved to Vista is you get a lot of land, you get a lot of space, you so I think we do have to listen to the residents.
Right.
What is it that we like and dislike about certain ways of living and the way that we build communities? My business is out over by the Buena Creek area.
Mhm.
Those communities are very different than Shadow Ridge.
Right.
Shadow Ridge is very different than downtown,
Yeah.
than North Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So you're right. How do we work all that together for the betterment of our community?
Yeah.
And it's a hard question. I can't say I have all the answers,
Yeah.
but I'm willing to listen
Yeah.
to the residents and see where we can, as when I win city council, or where I can help in alleviating a lot of those pain points.
Yeah.
Because but like I said, the way I problem solve is the first thing is I have to
You gotta
listen.
listen.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. And I listened and I heard you say when I win city council. So congratulations on your win. Do me a favor as we get ready to wrap this up and give our outro. And first of all, let me just say I'm really thankful that you're here. thanks so much for finally sitting down with me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I enjoy all of our conversations, and every time I get to see you, very warming and welcoming. But like I say, also very eloquent and a good communicator. And I also want to tell you that I appreciate you, watched you through, be resilient, through tough times. And I think that the way that you communicate is very helpful to that. I've heard you actually on a past podcast, another podcast, say, what did it? I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but but I think I know what it means. But I think that you've clearly, worked on yourself inside and out, and with that ability to communicate to others what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're going through, then you just, you got a great future, based on that. So the favor I'm asking from you is on our way out to speak to your Spanish-speaking constituents and kind of share, at least even wrap up some of the messages that you gave today.
Okay, yeah, I would love to.
Yes, you can.
Okay. So, hola, mi nombre es Denisse Barragan y soy dueña de negocio pequeño aquí en la ciudad de Vista. Soy dueña de un taller de carrocería que se llama J&R Auto Body, que está localizado aquí en South Santa Fe. Me estoy postulando para consejo municipal aquí en la ciudad de Vista para la elección aquí en 2024. Y yo nací en Oaxaca, pero he vivido aquí en la ciudad desde que tenía 4 años y he vivido en la misma vecindad. Atendí Grapevine Elementary, Washington Middle School y me gradué de Rancho Buena Vista High School. Amo a esta ciudad y muchas gracias por escuchar este podcast.
All right. All right. Thanks again. That was awesome. I appreciate you. And season 7, like I said, we're in it. We're doing it. For those of you who heard that this show might be gone, it's not. Nobody can stop us. Yes, this is my voice. I don't know. I went through when I went to Paris. Just before I went to Paris, I had like some major sinus issues, and people now ask me, "Are you sick?" I feel 100%. I've been healed for a long time, but I guess my voice changed and I can't hear it. But get used to it. So we're back. We're releasing bi-weekly like we did last season. We're going to have some great guests, some local, some not, some some you don't yet, but all of them will be inspiring, just like our friend Denisse Barragan here. Trust me. So it's going to be another fun and informative season. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. As usual, stay tuned. Same business, different day. Peace.